Amanda, thank you for making time to have a quick chat with me today. As you know, I'm so close to learning transfer. Eat, sleep, breathe learning transfer. It's sometimes really hard for me to get an external perspective. So I thought what would be really good is I'm reaching out to some of the clients, some of the people we've worked with, just to get their take on what we do and what learning transfer has created for their organisation. So thrilled that you've managed to find time just to slot in a quick conversation today.
Oh, you're welcome, Emma. Fantastic to be here with you.
And I think you first came across our learning transfer work when I was presenting on a panel at AITD 2014, I think that was. What was it that made you decide last August, which was when we started work together, was the time to really get stuck into your learning transfer?
I think, because at that time the organisation was going through quite a bit of transformational change. The learning and development team, for the first time in a long, long time in the business, was having some inroads, and we were being able to have a footprint on the direction of our workforce development, and particularly a capability uplift of our people leaders. And so at that time we were moving to a national direction to introduce the GROW model for coaching, for learning, for our people leaders. And at that time I thought, what a perfect example, and you came into my head around, remember that little panel thing I sat on a few years ago, and I've sort of been following you a bit and obviously read a couple of your books, and I thought, what a great way to see if that model would actually work well in this project that we were trying to deliver, because we knew that we had to create change, and that having been in the learning and development space for a fairly long time, I knew that the traditional models just weren't cutting it in today's world. So we need to think about how we could get the people to actually change, and that was one of our key drivers.
Mm. And one of the exciting things about working with you and your team, Amanda, was that we, after you and I had got together and looked at what you were trying to achieve, we decided to create the internal capability in the Turning Learning into Action methodology. And what a journey, and what commitment your team has shown. They've just been awesome in terms of they've really applied themselves to that Turning Learning into Action methodology, and really in a robust way having your follow-up calls to actually create that behavioural change. Do you want to share what some of the outcomes have been for the organisation, of what you've actually seen unfold since you've did the work supporting the GROW program?
So for the business, we saw learning and development having more inroads in being able to have influence on a wider scale at the organisational level. We kicked the goals for the business on this particular project, and so more and more since that time, L&D's been able to influence on a range of other projects. So instead of being consulted after projects commence, we were being asked to participate in project design right from the get-go. We were able to secure a fairly good budget for this financial year, based on the fact that our outcomes were being seen by the business, and particularly at the leadership level. And I think also we found a way to build the confidence in our people that learning shifts behaviour. And not only do we see it in the people leaders, we actually saw it in the staff receiving the GROW program from their managers. So staff were starting to say, hey, that person really cares about me. That person really is listening to what I'm saying, and this person really cares about my development and my career pathway in this organisation. So I think they were some really important key highlights. The other thing I suppose I should mention, and as you say, I think you and I came to this realisation as we progressed, is that we were able to influence the culture of the organisation. So we were able to start to, and not that it wasn't there before, but enhance the positive culture of being able to have a go at something and realise that it's okay. We're not going to get it right every time, but part of it is stepping into the space and having a go. And that was that culture shift that came about through people just open heart, open mind, being able to say, I don't mind having this coaching. I think it's okay. And then I've seen that shift in our culture within the organisation. So, yeah. been really positive.
And I know that as a team you'd experimented before with actually, you know, just doing quick check-in phone calls with people after learning to try and see how they were on track. How would you describe the difference between a sort of a check-in phone call and a turning learning into action phone call? Is that possible to capture?
Yeah. So I think the difference with those check-in calls, if you like, versus learning transfer is the methodology and the structure used by the calls keeps not only the coach but the participant very much on a clear pathway. So because it's so structured, it actually enables you to dive deep into actually what is how that person can actually move forward. And I think it also, because of the way it's structured, there is much more self-accountability for the person. And I think that leads to a whole range of different things, empowerment, all of that stuff. But I think it also makes it easier to move the shift because the coach knows where they're going in terms of the structure that they need to do to make it happen. And I think sometimes what I've seen in coaching is it becomes much more about giving a personal advice rather than helping the person to find out the way forward for themselves. And I think as doing the learning transfer, for me, it was a lot less stressful than when I have done traditional coaching methods because I've got myself all churned up in and turned over with. Yeah. Whereas this method enables me to still be the facilitator, still be there for the person in the moment with the person, but I'm not doing all the work. They're doing it for themselves. And I think that's where we saw many participants having a sense of self-satisfaction. I've actually been able to do this, rather than creating that sort of codependency, if you like, on the coach. The coach is there as the conduit, but the person is taking the journey for themselves. We feel that this is just integral now in the way we go about our learning and development. And I think that came very much, the executive said after this process, this needs to be a part of major things we do. And I think that's a real reflection at an executive level, that the investment was solid, but that they can see the value in it. And they said, well, this needs to be a part of what we do.
Well done to you guys. And just thrilled we could help create those great results because, you know, it all knocks on to that purpose of what you're trying to achieve as an organisation. So well, let's keep moving forward. And Amanda, thanks again for your time. And we will chat again very soon, no doubt.
Okay, thanks, Emma.
Bye.